Okay, so let's start. Thank you everyone for coming on a Monday. Actually, a lot of people are remote, but so it's nice to be there. Welcome to Product Stories. This time it's about user-centric design for sustainability. It will be the last one before the summer break, so let's enjoy it. So I'm to present me quickly. I'm Rémi. I'm a product manager at Qonto. And also, actually, I'm part of the impact team that we started at Qonto. So I represent product in this team. So I'm always wondering how I can combine the two, sustainability and products, on a daily basis. So I'm here to learn as well today. So super grateful to have you two here. And before I let Ray and Guillaume present themselves, just a quick agenda. We have a quick presentation of you, your company, what you do, then open question, discussion, and at the end, so at roughly 7:40, 20-minute question, and then we can continue with some drinks and pizza. Without further ado, I will let Ray, for instance, start, or Guillaume if you want. The slide is already there, that's why having to you.
Hello, 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 hi. Yeah, so am I doing my presentation now, basically? Yep, okay, perfect, great. And this clicker works. Okay, great. Well, nice to meet you, and thank you very much for the invitation, Remy, and also the rest of the Qonto team. Super happy to basically to be here. My name's Ray. I am the Director of Design at Research and Content at Backmarket. Tiny little company, you might have heard of it. And actually, I was really happy to be invited basically to chat because I think there's a lot of parallels basically of what you're talking about. And I think as a company, I think many of you know Backmarket, you know, we're pretty kind of like, you know, well known in the sustainability space and stuff. However, actually one of the things that we're figuring out is actually making that much more tangible, much more kind of forthright as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our reason to exist, and so actually the first thing I want to do is a bit of audience interactivity because it's a Monday. It's warm, so I'd love everybody to stand up if possible. Oh. So it's a quiz, so those of you from Backmarket, I know who you are, you better get this right. How many years will it take a person to drink the amount of water it takes to make one new smartphone? So, who believes it's 3 years? Sit down. Okay. 18 years. Take a seat. 60 years, take a seat. So I'm very happy to report that none of the people at Backmarket got this right. It's actually 122 years of water consumption if somebody drank 2 liters of water a day. That's 89,100 liters of water. So what does that teach me? Well, I have to do some education within the company. Number 2, that's a whole lot of water to make one new smartphone. And so what does it mean when you buy refurbished? It saves 77,000 litres of water. So it saves 105 years of water consumption if somebody drank 2 litres a day. You still have some water, you know, because we're replacing new batteries or whatever and stuff like that. But you can see essentially the impact is minimized by over 80%. So it's not just water. You also have CO2, 77.3 kilograms of CO2, which is the same as driving from Paris to Luxembourg, as well as also 246 kilograms of raw materials, which is around 12 bicycles when you buy refurbished. And actually, this data is quite new. We only really got it about a year ago. And it's been a lot of work basically within the organization to actually qualify and quantify the impact that we make. We always knew that we made some impact, but it was really hard to actually really quantify it. And so that's actually one of the things that has allowed us to really push on this story a lot more. Before, back market was kind of about its jokes, about like, you know, a little bit of kind of our mission, but really we've been able to use that data to qualify and actually start cementing a mission statement, which is that we help create a world that does more with what we already have. And I think actually one of the things that I really want you to leave with is the fact that actually being purpose and mission driven is the starting point. It's the thing that essentially product people and product teams can actually use as the launch pad for, you know, ideas that really kind of meet that goal. And I just want to leave basically 3 ways that we kind of do it. So the first one is actually through quality, because at the end of the day, we're a marketplace. So, and we sell tech. Tech is a pretty kind of difficult product, you know, it does break down, and so we're challenging basically people buying new, and so quality has to be of the highest standards. So from a kind of product perspective, what do we do to do that? Well, we're a marketplace, and actually we look after our sellers as well as our customers. When we say looking after our sellers, they have different needs. So we actually have product teams and tribes and squads that work on things like our seller experience, which incorporate including data onto our platform. So when I joined about 3 years ago, it was a pretty dumb tool. It was like, you know, sellers would use that tool basically to manage prices and to maybe kind of like put listings up, but now actually they get feedback. They get told what's selling better. They get automation as well. And so actually the product team is doing a whole lot of innovation to help sellers that ultimately power our marketplace. We also do things around community. So researchers, for example, within the product team actually go to these community events where we have sellers, we work with them, we talk with them, and we actually even do user testing basically of new ideas that we have. And we also do a ton of innovation and education. I have a video. It's about 2 minutes long, so I don't know if I've got time to play it. Maybe not, but we'll send the link out and stuff, but it's really interesting, basically. It talks a little bit about our lab and how they do some innovation education. So, for example, when you refurbish the phone and change the battery, Apple would actually put up a notification saying, this is a incompatible battery, when in actual fact it isn't. It's just purely the system and the industry designing itself basically to make it a closed and actually essentially kind of, you know, not sustainable in that sense. So I'm going to just jump the video and I'm going to talk about the second part of quality, which is from the customer perspective, because at the end of the day, we need to educate people. And actually we do this together, not just as a product team, but also together with our marketing and content team, where we put out a lot of information, whether it's, you know, comparison with new, whether it's the environmental impact, the stats that we talked about just earlier and stuff. And also what we've also done is actually swarmed around customer care. So not just looking after people pre-sales, but also post-sales. So making sure essentially people feel like essentially they can trust the product as well as also the service and the company. So the other thing that we actually also look at and pushing forward towards is around circularity. So you're talking about designing for sustainability. This is where it comes to the fore. And I would be lying to you if I said, oh yeah, we've been doing this all the time. We've been doing something. We've been doing buyback, which is essentially allowing people to not just buy devices, but also trade in devices. So they can actually swap an old device for a new one and get it for a little bit cheaper, or essentially just sell us your old device. Now, that's great, but there's also a transaction attached to it. So what happens when there isn't a transaction attached to it? So actually what we're exploring now is a lot more around kind of new ideas, new circularity streams. So you can see this guy throwing money at people, which is great. You know, this is a really nice example basically of when we launched Buyback in the US, we had marketing and product working together. But actually what we need to start doing is not just thinking about those transactional moments and start actually changing behavior through maybe streams that don't bring revenue or bring very little revenue and stuff, but actually it's about changing behavior essentially for the greater good. And so that's why I put the little eyes there, because I don't want to talk about it too much. You'll see it, but we're going to be doing more circularity stream support and stuff. One thing, if you are a back market customer, you'll see is if you go into the customer care, if you have an issue, we don't just offer replace or refund. We also offer an opportunity for you to get your device repaired as well. So I think that's, again, another stream that we have for circularity. And actually, important thing about circularity, it's not just, again, I talk about transaction and moving devices around. Something we're trying to do is actually getting people to keep their device. So the best way of circularity is actually not having the device go anywhere, because logistics and shipping all have a carbon cost towards it. So one of the ways of doing that is actually helping people understand their tech, understand essentially whether it's still healthy. And so one of the things we've launched on our app essentially is a ability to actually fight planned and perceived obsolescence, that actually you need to change a device every year, or you need this new thing because it's going to be help your life. It's not. And so we try and kind of give you clarity around that. And if you need to get the battery changed, we can help you with that, and so on. I'm going to go a little bit quicker because I think we're running out. But the main thing as product people that we're interested in is experience. So what are the things that we do here? Well, at the end of the day, we're an e-commerce site, and we're fighting basically against new. And new have had a massive head start. So one of the things we're looking to do is really make sure that we play on that benchmark. We want to be a no-brainer choice, that when you're buying refurbished, it's not that you're getting a worse product or a worse experience. You're getting a same an experience, if not even better, actually. And the product you get doesn't just save you money, but also saves the planet in a sense. And so we put a lot of effort, and in the past few years I've been in a lot of kind of like things around purchase financing. We're starting to play around with telcos as well, so offering people, the full package of communication, and then also insurance products as well. All of these things essentially are what people see when they actually go into, Best Buy or going to Fnac or whatever and stuff. And actually, we need to be as good as that. But then we want to also kind of change the world, and to do that we can't just have people brainlessly going through a journey. And so what we try and do is change behavior by asking people some really tough questions as an e-commerce product. We actually want to change behavior by waking them up. So one of the things we do at certain points in the year is actually ask people, do you actually really need it? So we have this little modal that pops up in the middle of the checkout. And it's like, hey, do you really need this actually? I think that's pretty revolutionary basically from an e-commerce perspective. And then when, for example, last year when the iPhone 14 launched, I mean, we had a stock issue because we don't have any refurbished iPhone 14s. So we would have the first result basically, 14 who, 13 still kicking ass. Again, little moments where you can just wake people up and make them kind of go, okay, maybe I can think about it a little bit differently. So we do all of this stuff, it's all really cool, but we still got a lot of work to do, because honestly, when we talk with customers and research and stuff, they don't get it all the time. This is a very concrete example of where we put basically, some of our stats and stuff in the checkout message. And this is a quote basically from the user testing. It says, "I don't see the connection between the cell phone and climate change." Lots to unpack there, but I think it demonstrates essentially you've got a lot of work to do. So yeah, just want to leave you with the fact that a lot of work to do, and I think it's a group effort basically. You help us basically make a world that does more with what we already have. And one way of doing that is by joining us. So if anyone wants a product role in care or circularity, we're also looking for product analytics, product designers, as well as also product marketing managers. Yeah, cool.
Hi everybody, thank you Ray, interesting. My name is Guillaume, I'm the CEO of GreenGo. I don't know who in the room knows GreenGo? Oh yeah, 4 people. Okay, so this is a bit, there is a need for awareness maybe for starting. So basically, GreenGo is a booking platform for EcoStay, leading in France on this EcoStay. So basically it's a booking platform for holidays. You can book in 3 clicks like Booking or Airbnb or websites you may know about. The difference is we select stays based on the ecological footprint and the way of running the stay for the host. And this is the first thing. And the second thing is we are trying to find cool stays, right? This is not like Booking, Airbnb, you have anything. On GreenGo you have nice stays, cool stays to be in, and eco-friendly stays that we evaluate based on a 100 criteria approach, and I can talk more about this. But basically, why are we launched this 2 years ago, and the idea for us, it's really a purpose-driven company. We are a mission company, entreprise à mission in French law, and our mission is to make tourism more sustainable. And so basically, our starting point was, okay, we have a big issue with climate change. Okay, what can we do to change it? Let's look at the industries. Where are the emissions? And basically, we found out tourism was a big one, 11% of the carbon footprint. And basically, we've been thinking on, okay, what can we do, with a product, with a concept, to make this industry more sustainable, to build behaviors toward less carbon emission-driven travels. And that was our starting point. And so I think when it comes to building sustainable products, the first step really is to understand, what business, what industry are you in, what problem are you addressing, right? And I think it's the same in any industry. And on our side, it was quite simple. It was tourism is a big emission factor. Transport is the main contributor to this emissions. It's like 70% or 75% of the carbon footprint, and we say, we need to make people travel more local. We need people to prefer train rather than plane, and basically that's. And the last thing was, and people need to book stay, right? And we need an economic model as well, and that's why we're starting on stays and on marketing locally for now, French stay for French people for now. And it's not a political kind of positioning, it's more an impact kind of driven kind of choice we are making right now. So the other thing is, the point is, first step is really to understand what's the impact of your business and your industry and what are you trying to achieve, right? It's a beginning. I had a few pictures. I don't know if there is room for showing something. Yeah, so one. So first thing we noticed is, sorry, it's in French because our first choice was not to translate our website in English because we didn't want to facilitate the fact that people coming from far away could emit a lot of carbon footprint to book on our website. So sorry for the French. But basically, this was pretty shocking for us because formerly I was a strategy consultant, and I used to travel a lot, and I realized basically with one flight from Paris to New York, it was like 1 year of carbon footprint quota. What is this kind of quota? It's when you want to limit climate change to 2 degrees, you're allowed, conceptually speaking, to emit 2 tons of carbon footprint a year. And just one flight, back and forth, Paris, New York, it's almost 1 year of emissions. And the shock was to see the contrast with the Paris-Marseille in train, which is almost nothing. It's never nothing, but it's compared, it's almost nothing. And we knew really part of the world very, very far away with a lot of impact, and we realized we didn't know what was next door, basically. And Paris-Marseille, for instance, my wife, she never saw the Calanque in Marseille, which is like a famous spot. I need to demarket it right now because there are too many people, but my French wife never been there, right? And so that was the first really idea that we have, is how to make people be attracted to, see the treasure around rather than all the stuff very far away with a lot of carbon footprint. And that's why we came with this idea of, if we select nice days in nice spots with the right people, with the right approach, here we can make a difference. And so that was the starting point. And after that, we thought, okay, so basically we are booking a platform for eco stay. So we need to evaluate this eco stay. So the second step for sustainability in product is get data, measure, right? what does this mean to be an eco-stay? What are the dimension? Let's make the exercise, and we came up with an approach with more than 100 criteria, because it's really complicated when you figure it out. It's okay. What is the energy, the heating mode? What is the insulation? What is the food? Is it local? Is it from season? And what about the waste and what is done, etc. And we figured out it was very complicated, and that's why we came up with this grid of analysis evaluation. And so basically for hosts, first impact was, oh, I saw this criteria in your list, and I figured I didn't have that, so I wanted to have this criteria checked, right? And so we realized that just measuring and putting a tool for people was generating an impact, and after that there is displaying all this data, all this measure. So if we move it one tab, maybe. Yeah, the second one. Yeah, so basically on any stay on GreenGo, basically you have an eco score, you have a CO2 score, and you have like the strength of this place. And even if you want to see more, all the criteria, you can see it. I think we got like 4 million page views last year or something like that. And so on every page there is this, right? So displaying just the impact and the data, environmental stuff, you need to be careful not to put too much. But we believe there is an impact here. And I mean, first step is to understand your business, what is it is enabling. Second is to measure the impact of your community or your supplier or anything. Another step is to displaying this information. And the last stage, I think, I mean, there are a couple of levels, but it's really to incentivize people to act differently. And that's a new project we've been working on over the last week. Is around transport. So how do we incentivize these people to come to that place in train rather than in car, right? Because it's a big impact. And that's why if we can just move the tab, the last one, it's a bit handcrafty presentation, I'm sorry. No, not the third one. Yeah, great. So basically that's a transport comparator that we built. This is for London, Paris, for your trip, London, Paris. And yeah, you came in Eurostar. It's a nice one, and basically it's just providing a tool for people. Okay, if I come from there and go there, what is the impact? What is the price? What is the time? And we wanted to put it on the same table, right? The practicity, logistically, time, price, and the impact as well. And so you can see, for instance, on this Paris-London that 5% of your impact for a year, it's in car, and in train it's almost nothing. I mean, compared to your yearly impact. And our next move is, this is a standalone product we have right now, but our next move is to put this on every host's page, build a functionality around it for people to prefer train rather than car, and pick places depending on the broader impact it have. And so that's been 2 years of building GreenGo, and this is kind of the route we followed over this last 2 years. And but I think that it's a long-term play, right? Building sustainable product. I think everybody is always at the beginning, at any stage, at any. This is a path you're heading towards, and that's a nice interesting path for product manager and product teams to follow, I think.
Thanks a lot, Guillaume. Something that clearly stands out from your presentation is that you need to measure the impact so you can showcase it to the user, because it's part of the value prop to why people come to your product. Question that I had is that, and you will tell me if you experience that or not, that when you start and you have a sustainable product, you can expect that lots of people come from this value proposition. So it's important that they see that it saves water, it saves CO2. But as you grow, as you say, like you don't want to be just the sustainable version. You want to be the best player in the market, and so eventually people will just not care at all about your sustainability part. So how do you build your product and how do you design the user journey so it can answer to very different users, whether they care or not about sustainability?
It's a really good question, actually. And in the presentation, we had one slide where it was the checkout flow. So this person has already put it in their basket and they decided essentially that they would like to purchase it. And we had tested essentially if you go back here, this one. So you can see basically there's a box that says climate conscious purchase where you save 43 ounces of e-waste. This was for the US. With a button to learn more, which already was a big thing for us. Like, why would you take someone somewhere else, basically? But what we found actually was people. This was tested in the US, and I mean, we can go into the cultural context quite a lot, but I won't go into that. But I think what you're finding is essentially when you put that message in the checkout, it's not the right place, and so what you need to do is. Maybe it's not to say that the message is bad, but you need to find the better fit basically for it along the journey. So you were talking about journeys, it's about when do people make certain decisions. And so it's about kind of finding that balance. So what you start identifying very simply is that the checkout is all about kind of making things frictionless, getting people to kind of, convert, make the decisions, buy and stuff. And all of the decision, the content, the mid-funnel content basically happens much earlier. So this was interesting for us. It was a bit of a kind of interesting kind of see whether we could actually elevate the checkout a little bit more to reflect, our mission and our purpose. But clearly, for example, people just kind of look at it and go, okay, no. Yeah.
And yeah, so to elaborate a bit on that, I think you want people not convinced about ecological stuff to use your product. And I think Ray mentioned it earlier in the presentation. You need quality of the experience of the tech, of everything, because primarily, really, for GreenGo, I am a booking platform, right? So if my experience is bad, people will prefer not necessarily eco stays, and I will lose, and I won't have impact. So my priority is to have the best platform, right? So anybody can book, and it's easy, and it's even easier than booking a non-eco stay, right? So, but I think the impact comes from people not really in your initial targets, because when you segment the market, in our cases, there are all the environment-friendly people, eco people looking for eco products and stuff. I won't have so much impact on these people. I mean, I think so, because everybody is always convinced, right? These people know the impact of the plane and stuff, and they don't. I mean, I won't have a very big impact on them, right? But if I go on people not really sensitized to these topics, I'm making big difference if they book on me, if they learn stuff, I put them on site. And the thing is, you need to find a balance. Of course, you need to have a very good product for your fan base, and for the people more willing to pay. I mean, or to buy spontaneously, but you really need to get a strong value proposition for non-eco-friendly people, and I think that's how you drive really true impact. I mean,
I just wanted to come again on something that you said was very interesting. So you said that to have an impact, actually, it's not only to offer a greener proposition to people that would have anyway found a way to go for a green proposition, but also to try to influence people that would not necessarily have gone for this at the first stage. So my question would be how is it possible, and do you believe it's possible to kind of try to influence a bit the behavior of your users with your product, meaning that someone that want to buy an iPhone 13 in the end will buy iPhone 13? And the question, do you think it's possible? And if yes, have you tried to do it, and have you tried to measure it? That would be the question.
So let's take the iPhone 14 example. If someone came to our site basically and they were like, I really want an iPhone 14. Well, what we can, I can't exactly remember what happens when clicking on there, but there was a page that talked basically about the difference between the 14 and the 13. Did we measure it? I don't remember exactly, but what we can do is, of course, continue that storytelling. And I completely agree in terms of what Guillaume was saying, where it's really about kind of the total addressable market in the sense of like the people that are your fanboys and girls are going to be always much smaller than the bigger, wider circle of people. So you also asked about how do you kind of segregate. I wouldn't say it's about segregation. It's not about one experience for one versus another. It's just about basically presenting at the right time. So for example, the people that already are, you know, eco-centric and stuff like that, they're going to check out no matter what. And then the people that need a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of help, and a little bit of that connection point, the checkout experience, visualized it, which is when is the right time to do that. So for example, we could probably put that message in the confirmation page or put it in CRM rather than putting it basically in the checkout flow and stuff, and then already hopefully they get that connection. So it's measuring it is tough. I think what we've tried to kind of do is move away a little bit from purely GMV to actually kind of understanding like more sustainability metrics, but as a working point. I mean, I always talked about circularity, and circularity is going to be, you know, it's not going to be about GMV. It's not going to be about monetary aspect. It's going to be about measuring how many devices we've facilitated to go through the circular, the circular process and stuff. So how many devices have we taken back that have gone potentially to be recycled, to be potentially be donated, and so on. And so once we get that going, that's probably how we start measuring that stuff. Which is a big change, because normally in startups and scale-ups, it's tough to have a metric that's not GMV or monetary based, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's about taking it the right way, right? I'm not saying to people coming on my website, oh, this is an eco stay. No, I'm saying it's a cool stay. Have you seen this place? It's an incredible place to stay. And oh, by the way, it's eco-friendly because there is X, Y, Z, and filled in. And I think on sustainability, you need to drive people towards a good action. You want to do it not directly. It's more indirect. So I'll create some appeal for a product, and I'll make it green. That's my value proposition and my core work, right? But I won't market it as green. I mean, it won't be the main message. Main message will be, oh, do you know the Calanque, and have you seen these incredible places? Oh, you should go there. And by the way, you'll have a really tiny impact, so you'll be a good guy. That's a message. You're a good guy, for instance. I saw on back market as well. You make purchase, and they told me, oh, Guillaume, you're a good guy. I was like, oh, I'm a good guy. Why? Oh yeah, because you buy it reconditioned and it's not a new one, and so you're saving stuff, and I think that's pretty smart, right? And it's, you don't want to have it too frontal. I don't know if this word exists in English, but in French it's frontal. Yeah. Direct, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the core value proposition of your product, even if you're a sustainable company, this is what should be on the thing. And sustainability come as a reassurance, as I don't know how.
No, it's a really good point. It's reassurance is the secondary principle basically against your site, which is actually to provide a service. So you want to, you've seen the problem, which is essentially, you know, access to great places to stay, you know, from a local perspective, and then access to technology in terms of, you know, at a good price point. These are very, very valid problems basically to answer. And then you can layer on top of that the reasons why this is actually compelling, basically, in addition to just your pocket. Clearly, for, you know, Back Market next year will be a 10-year-old company. This company is built basically from pure, you know, from the fact that we are price competitive, and the fact that actually we have a very, very high number of supporters that believe in our mission, but mainly it's because we're cheaper than the rest. It's unfortunate, but it's a truth basically. We try now to have the opportunity to turn our narrative and our story to be much more mission and purpose led, but that's really only enabled because we've managed to essentially get a lot of traction with people.
And I think there is a point to make, which is a bit more abstract, but you need to get to the bottom of what your customers need and want, and what are the deep drivers for them. Basically, on GreenGo, superficially speaking, they are looking for a stay. They want to have good holidays, but if you get deeper on that superficiality, actually they want to have a good moment, right? They want to be with their family and enjoy and be happy, by the way. And when they select the website they are looking for, and they might go on GreenGo for an even deeper thing, which is, I want to be a good person. I mean, I feel I'm making a good action. If I have children, I have a child, for instance. I'm feeling that I'm doing something in the right direction, and I'll be a good guy at the end. And when my boy will be 30 years old, he will say, "Oh, Daddy was a good guy, and he was on the environmental part, and I mean, he wasn't in the polluting spaces and stuff." So, but I'm taking a step far. But basically, you need to understand the emotional driver as well, and the deepest thing your customers want, and they have a concrete need, functionally speaking, but broadly speaking, emotionally speaking, they have something deeper in them, and that's what you want to trigger with your product.
Okay, so yeah, as you explained, so it's there is a basic need you need to answer, and to answer this need, even if you are sustainable, you want to be the best product ever, and on top of that, you add another layer. And the question I had on that is because it's very hard, as you explained, Ray. Like you need to make money. I mean, the rules of the world did not change overnight, which is another discussion. But you need to make money as well. So, but also it's part of your DNA, pushing for sustainability. So, how do you, as a product leader, as a CEO, how do you prioritize? For features that have an impact on sustainability? Do you feel that you need to make trade-off between money and impact? And if yes, how do you do it?
That's a nice one. I mean, first of all, I think, I mean, like any company, the company is, is in line with what the people are, right, and feel. So basically, on my side, I don't care about making money. I don't care at all. I mean, there are people like this, and if I'm making dirty money, I care a lot, and I'm really that's the route I don't want to have, right? So basically, when I'm running this company, I'm trying to spread this culture, and I think all the founders of GreenGo, we are 4 of us, and we are all aligned with this, right? So when we see opportunities, we say, oh, is it in line with our core values? Is it in line with our mission? Is it? If it's not, yeah, let's pass it. So, for instance, we refused more than 100,000 euros in just direct sales just because it wasn't okay, right? It was a tire company trying to make an operation with us, or buy more tires, and you get rewarded in GreenGo kind of points and gift card and stuff. So we say no, we don't do that. It would have been a great help for us, but we didn't do it because it's not okay to incentivize people to buy more tires and using more of the car and stuff, right? So I think you can make choice like this. You just need to understand you need a sustainable model, right? Because in sustainability there is a sustainable health, financially speaking, for the company you need to build, and this is something non-negotiable. But you should work towards what is a sustainable financially, but as well as in the model and the collateral effects it has, right? So every day you make choices. Every month, every quarter, you some have big, some are tiny like this, some are big like this. It depends, right? But you you always need this kind of thing in your hand, right? Oh, I have this and this direction. Okay, this one is right, this one is wrong. Maybe it's never as easy as that, right? But you should always look out. Is it okay? Yes. Also, I can go for that. But it's personal. Yeah, it's quite a personal thing. But you need to spread this culture around the company. And I think at our stage with 20 people, it's quite okay to recruit people like this and build this culture, right?
I'm loving what you're saying because it makes me feel like, of course, I didn't found Back Market, but I joined it. You know, I have a personal aspiration. I studied sustainable product design, so there was always something. But I found it. You know, I sold my soul. I worked, you know, in advertising. You know, doing advertising for cars and stuff. So. You will find people, and actually, like what you said as well, a foundation, a company that lets you do the sustainable stuff is ultimately going to be a company that at its heart has sustainability, basically. Finding the opportunity to say where you make money and where you don't make money is a choice, you know, and that's ultimately, I think, you know, the decision that the company has to make. There's no way that I could have put that live, you know, to put a blocker in the checkout if our founders didn't actually believe in that and actually want that kind of, you know, that played a part basically in the principled vision that they have. It's not easy, it's hard to say because you can't change your founders. But for that particular case anyway, you know, we're an e-commerce site, so we've hired really smart people that, you know, have metrics in mind, and, you know, they do their damn hardest basically to make sure they hit those metrics, and that's a good balance. You know, you find that balance, and to convince them, for example, what we did was we discussed when do we put it live, in what context do we put it live, when it's most powerful, most meaningful to put it live. And you don't think of it as just one thing you put live and you forget about it. You think of it as something you nurture. So we've put it live 2 or 3 times now. We've put it in Earth Day. We've put it basically in moments like with you know, thinking maybe like Black Friday and stuff like that as well. But it's like you don't have to have it live all the time. You just do it when you have the most attention or when it has most meaning and so on. So that, I think, is the compromise that you can start making if, for example, you are working for a company where sustainability at its heart isn't really as strong as GreenGo or Back Market, and you need to start building basically a case studies basically of how actually it generated impact. And for that, for example, we tracked everything. We tracked basically it didn't have a drop in conversion, which was a shame. We kind of wanted the drop in conversion, but actually we had a lot of people clicking on remind me later, and then they ended up converting anyway, which is good for us because it demonstrates essentially people had a stickiness to our brand. They wouldn't go and bind it. They would buy from us later anyway, which is good at the end of the day.
Okay, yeah, so it's really a matter of conviction and alignment at the top level of the company, and then I guess it will come down in terms of KPI metrics, etc., that are related to that. And if they are not, what you can still do, maybe as a leader or IC, is try to take some initiative without any risk, so you can have the green light for it and like make the proof that it works.
Yeah, start small, grow it. I mean, that's what product is about. You start basically at the smallest and go, okay, did it mess anything up? No? Okay, then let's go a little bit bigger and stuff. Sometimes I think you need to show the big idea, but most of the times I think in our world, like, you know, especially in our context, the scale-up companies or growth companies, it's very, very viable to just go like, let's start small and stuff. If you're Apple, then you've got to go big.
Yeah. And it's what you said at the beginning, like just a fraction of your users are the ones that are really into sustainability, but a lot of them are still maybe not for that and can be interesting. So you have everything to win. If you scale, you have lots of users, so some of them will be interested. See the time; it's running fast. Thanks a lot, Ray and Guillaume. We have some time for a few questions. If you have some, you can raise the hand. We'll pass the mic over to you. Do we need the mic actually?
No, probably not.
Yeah. Go ahead, Adil.
Question for Guillaume. You probably raised some
Yeah, I think basically being a mission company, you put, I mean, voluntary barriers and voluntary rules that may, I mean, not be in favor of doing business and making revenues and stuff. And this is clearly I mean, it's not valued for VCs, for instance. The fact that I have a positive impact and the fact that I'm helping transforming an industry, etc. I think this is something which is really not taking into account, and the financing world is a bit mature about all these things, and so I think it's not an asset from a certain perspective, but from another perspective, I think all investors today quite get the fact that in a world at 3 degrees, or in a world where companies are not sustainable, this is not such a good investment right now when I'm thinking about future. So I think you have some kind of goodwill, though, despite the fact of what I mentioned before, that to be a mission-driven and impact company, this is a goodwill, but it's not directly valued. It's like, if there is a regulation on tourism, the last man standing will be GreenGo, maybe because they have this embedded in the body, right? But it's not like, I'll get some, I mean, it's always hard to balance for venture capital because they want 1 billion in 3 years, right? This is not my roadmap. My roadmap is to get positive impact, to make travel more sustainable. We are making stays, transport and stuff, and I can't have 1 billion in 3 years. That wouldn't be sustainable. But so it's kind of hard to reconcile sometimes. But I think we see a rapid evolution on the market. I mean, it was quite immature 1 year and a half ago when we raised money, and we will raise money soon. And I think it's evolved a bit. So we see some kind of movement on this respect.
Other questions?
Yeah, I have a question for Guillaume. Also, do you have intention to stay France local, or do you have thoughts about going worldwide? Because that changes kind of approach. You can't set limits from where people book, and yeah, I understand it's a tricky one, but
that's an excellent question, because this is something we dream about, we make some nightmares about, really. But this is something we are building. So basically, first step was we don't want to facilitate the fact that Americans can book easily French stays, because it involves probably they take the plane and stuff. So we started really cautiously, I would say, French host, French people. And our views was, okay, Europe is a good space for sustainable tourism, because from Paris you can get in many places with a very low carbon footprint. So our playground is Europe. Our ambition is to make the European leader for sustainable travel, and because we really feel there is something to do to travel more local in Europe, train. In the US, it's more complicated, because if you want to go from a city to another, it's big distance. It's very often planes and stuff. So our move for now doesn't involve going in the US, for instance, and we want really to stay at a playground in Europe. But our real challenge is, productly speaking, it's a product challenge. How do you route people from UK, people in the UK? How do you route these people in the UK or in France or in compatible destinations with train and stuff, rather than in Greece, rather than in Spain with plane and stuff? So we have quite some work to, build this product kind of. This is something to crack, really, growth hacking in product and testing, but that's really something we are up to, because this comparator I showed is the first step and the first milestone for cracking this. But it will be a route, it will be a path to. But it's quite an exciting one, because I think it's really rewarded, like incentivizing people to make less distance, better transport. So I can't answer right now how we will do it, but we are building it with this in mind.
When you are talking about all this, I would say that everyone needs to be more focused on ecological things, but the only barrier between this and your product is surely the price. For you, what is the relation between the price of stuff and is this a barrier for your customers when they come to your products?
Yes, it is a barrier. So it's no secret that I think back market success has been really playing basically the fact that we're up to 70% cheaper than new. And it has its relevancy, I think, especially in this current climate where we see essentially if we, on the supply and the seller side, if we were to tweak commission rates to reduce prices, we suddenly see conversion go up and stuff. E-commerce, I don't want to play a disservice to it, but it's not a complex beast. It's basically supply goes up, prices go down. It's amazing. That's your dream scenario, basically. But what we need to do is essentially layer that story on top of it, because at the end of the day, that's what makes it meaningful, and that's what makes it sticky as well. So people will more likely buy from you because it's more expensive. Amazon does this basically. They played basically price for many years, and now actually, if you search most of the time, they're not the cheapest, but they're the most convenient. They're the most accessible. More people in the US, for example, I think 65% of product searches happen on Amazon in the US rather than Google. So Google Shopping doesn't even have a part to play basically in terms of product search. And so once you build that, then you can actually start thinking about like prices are less of a barrier. It's ultimately down to the maturity of your product, where it is in its life cycle. And one of the things that we have to contend with, I think, as product people is essentially not just great ideas, but also when to start executing them and when to actually put them into play and stuff.
Yeah, to complement on that, I think price is a key, right? We made a survey recently, like 6 months ago, and we asked people, what is the main barrier for traveling more eco-friendly, right? And they mentioned price first, right? Why do you choose one transport on another, and why don't you take more the train? Oh, it's price, and it's the first one above all others, and really by far, right? So price will be a key thing, and I think at back market, what is really brilliant and smart about the model is really you can reconcile this good kind of thing, planet, better price, and it's really brilliant. And I think the traction comes from here really. On our side, on sustainable travel, first of all, we need to tear down all the other barriers, right? If there is a price and it's not convenient and it's the information is everywhere, all over the place and stuff, so won't work, right? So, but if there is only the price at the end, we can work on the price, right? So all other levels need to be tackled down, I think. And but price, I mean, you need to, I would say, change the minds as well, right? So basically, when people are traveling in Greece, I don't know, I take Greece, I don't know why, but it's a price, right? So the plane costs a bit, and the stay over there and stuff like this. And if they would go, I don't know, in Marseille, for instance, it's not so much expensive. So I think we need to find new routes of experiences as well, to show people the opportunity cost of their choices, maybe.
Yeah, it's just to build off that from a user perspective as well, because we're built in with so many of these biases a lot of the time. Like we sit here and we're kind of like, oh, but I would pay more. I personally would pay more if it was more ecological. But we're not 99% of the world, unfortunately, us sitting in this room. And we talked about, how do we it's better for us to be successful than for basically my old employer, Skyscanner, because we have our heart in the right place. Sustainability goes through basically to the core, and actually we're companies that want to make a difference. And to do that, it's all about finding that balance. So yeah, we're lucky in back market that there's a really nice synergy between, price and actually kind of making impact for the environment. And hopefully every other company can find that opportunity as well. And if not, as Guillaume said, it's about tearing down all the other barriers so people feel a little bit more like, oh, okay, cost benefit, I'm willing to invest in that, basically.
I have last one for you. So, how do you, as a company, walk the talk and actually, do you have the refurbished phones? Like, what phone do you use personally? Is it?
Oh, I left it there. I have a iPhone 12. So it's 2 years in the making. My previous phone to that was an iPhone 6S. So that was many years. Actually, it's a perfect example, which is actually kind of my daughter. She's a bit too young to have a phone, but she uses my iPhone 6S basically just to listen to music. And this is actually what's perfect, because if I were to trade in my own for 6S, I'd get zero money for it. And I think that does something to your motivation in terms of, like, I don't want to get involved in this. It's got no benefit for me. And so this is why we talk about keeping your device. Like, is there another thing you can use your device for as well? I wouldn't say I'm perfect. If you take a look at, travel within the company, we actually kind of, do travel along. We just had an all hands last week. But all in all, actually, what we're looking towards doing is looking at something called a carbon P&L. So we can actually start looking a little bit of our carbon cost as a company as well. And this is really fascinating. And it's actually, it's not a product team that's looking, it's our CFO that's looking at this, starting to merge essentially like our monetary P&L as well as a carbon P&L, and seeing how do we start distributing that? How does that actually, what contributes to it? How do we turn things off? Definitely for sure, working at back market, it's not about business class travel. It's not about all this stuff. So you basically have to walk some of the walk, but it's not the case that we don't fly anywhere. That's not what it is. It's, at the end of the day, we have a mission, and you're contributing to that mission, and your contribution is maximized because you make the right decisions on the product, which then influences basically the world. So that's why I talk about the carbon P&L, because it also balances the bigger story with the smaller kind of story as well. But we have great. The party starts. Okay. Oh, reducing CO2, that's good. I like this. What was I going to say? No, but we have like product people that love repairing stuff. So last week we had a workshop around repairing devices and stuff, how to repair things. And it's a lot of fun if you like it, for sure. You have to drink some of the Kool-Aid.
And I would add, you need to be consistent with what you're fighting, right? And I'm a good example, and I am a good ambassador for you, because I have a phone from back market. I could I could have bought it. Brand new, because I'm CEO. I need and stuff. But no, I prefer buying it in back market, and that's.
Your next travel should be to Marseille.
I think so, yeah, definitely.
Not to Le Calang, because there is over tourism and stuff, so that was a bad example.
Thanks a lot for the question. Don't worry, we have plenty of time to ask questions again to Ray and Guillaume. Thanks a lot. Personally, working in product and in the impact team, I've learned a lot. Hope that people from Backmark can learn how many liters of water are saved by by buying at Back Market. That's the end of this session. We will send you a quick survey at the end, try to have your feedbacks to see how we can come with something even better after the summer break. Again, there is some free food and beer or water, whatever you want. So let's continue the discussion there. Thanks.
Thank you.